The bank officer had kind eyes. That's what I remember most about that afternoon 6 years ago. Kind eyes and a voice like warm coffee, smooth and patient, as if she'd spent her entire career talking people through their worst days. "Mr. Brennan," she said, sliding the paperwork across the polished desk. "This just gives your daughter secondary authority on the accounts, for emergencies. You'll still have full access to everything." I nodded. The fluorescent lights hummed above us. Somewhere behind me, a printer chattered. An elderly woman in a floral dress waited in line at the teller window, clutching her purse. "Dad?" My daughter Claire touched my shoulder. "You understand what this means, right?" I looked at her. 32 years old, sharp blazer. Hair pulled back so tight it made her eyes look wider. She talked to me like I was a forgotten password, like something that needed to be reset. "I understand," I said. "It's just so I can help if something happens, like when you overdrafted last month." I hadn't overdrafted. The bank had confirmed it was their error, but Claire remembered it differently now, and I'd learned that arguing with her revised version of events was like arguing with wet concrete. It just set harder. The officer clicked her pen. "Sir, did you approve secondary control, or would you prefer to keep sole authority?" Claire's hand tightened on my shoulder. Not painfully, just enough. "Secondary is fine," I said. The officer smiled. Claire relaxed. I signed where they pointed. My hand was steady. It had been steady for 30 years in logistics coordination. Steady when I negotiated contracts worth more than Claire's mortgage. Steady when I ran compliance audits that could make or break million-dollar deals. But Claire saw trembling. She'd decided to see trembling years ago, right around the time I retired. And once Claire decided something, the decision became bedrock. "There," the officer said, stamping the final form. "All set. You're a lucky man, Mr. Brennan. Not everyone has family willing to help." "Lucky," I repeated. Claire drove me home. Her SUV smelled like vanilla air freshener and ambition. The leather seats were heated, even though it was April. "I know this feels weird, Dad," she said at a red light. "But honestly, it's for the best. You've been so scattered lately." Scattered. You know what I mean. Forgetting to pay bills on time. That thing with the credit card. I hadn't forgotten to pay bills. I'd been traveling. I'd set up automatic payments before I left, but the bank had updated their system and the automation failed. I'd fixed it within 48 hours. No fees, no penalties. But in Claire's story, I'd forgotten. I was forgetting a lot of things now. The story was calcifying. "Ryan and I just want to make sure you're taken care of," she continued. "Ryan was her husband. We've been talking, and we think it might be time to simplify things for you." Simplify. You don't need 3 checking accounts, Dad, or those investment accounts you never look at. I looked out the window. We passed the old office park where I'd worked for 26 years. The building looked smaller now. They'd repainted it teal. "I look at them," I said quietly. "When's the last time you actually checked your portfolio?" "Tuesday." She laughed. Not meanly. Just the way you laugh when a child says something absurd. "Okay, Dad. Sure." We pulled into my driveway. The house looked tired. Siding that needed washing. Flower beds Helen used to tend, now just mulch and memories. Helen had been gone 4 years. Sometimes it felt like 4 hours, sometimes 4 decades. "I'm making pot roast Sunday. You should come over. Ryan wants to talk to you about something." "What about?" "Just some ideas, for your future. Making things easier." I unbuckled my seatbelt. "I'll think about it." "Dad," her voice sharpened. "You're coming. I already told Ryan you'd be there." I got out of the SUV. She drove away before I reached the front door. I stood on the porch for a moment, key in hand, watching her taillights disappear around the corner. Inside, the house was quiet. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, my investment portfolio loaded. 3 accounts, Diversified holdings. Current value just under $900,000. I'd built it carefully over 30 years. Steady contributions, smart rebalancing, nothing flashy, nothing risky. I closed the laptop. Upstairs, in the office Helen had insisted I needed, I pulled out an old filing cabinet. Bottom drawer. Under a stack of tax returns from the 90s, I found what I was looking for, a leather notebook, the kind compliance officers used to keep before everything went digital. I'd filled 6 of these during my career. This was the last one. I flipped through pages of notes, risk assessments, behavioral patterns, red flags. I'd had a gift for seeing when people were lying, not because I was clever, just because I paid attention. Most people don't pay attention. They hear what they expect to hear. I'd been paying attention to Claire for 2 years now. I turned to a blank page and wrote the date, April 12th. Then I wrote, secondary control granted, Bank of the Midwest, checking, savings, money market. My hand was steady. Sunday came with rain. Claire's townhouse was in one of those developments where every third house looked identical. Brick facades, black shutters, yards measured in feet, not acres. Ryan answered the door. Hey, Tom. He never called me Mr. Brennan, never called me sir. Just Tom, like we were old college buddies. He was wearing a golf shirt and expensive jeans. His hair was perfect. Everything about Ryan was perfect, in the way things are perfect in furniture catalogs. Ryan, come in. Claire's in the kitchen. Can I get you a beer? Water's fine. The townhouse was decorated in shades of gray and white. Enormous photographs of Claire and Ryan hung on every wall. Their wedding, their honeymoon in Turks and Caicos, Ryan completing a marathon. No photos of me or Helen. No photos of Claire as a child. Their daughter Emma sat in the living room, eyes locked on an iPad. She was 7. She didn't look up when I entered. Hey, Emma, I said. Hi, Grandpa. Automatic. Empty. Her thumbs kept moving. Claire emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron that said, but first, coffee. She hugged me. She smelled like perfume and pot roast and something chemical I couldn't name. You made it. She stepped back, examining me. Dad, are you feeling okay? You look pale. I'm fine. Are you eating enough? You look thin. I weighed the same as I had for a decade. I'm eating fine. Ryan handed me water in a glass so clean it squeaked. We sat in the living room. Claire brought out cheese and crackers arranged on a slate board. Everything was arranged. Everything was just so. So, Ryan said, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. Claire tells me you two went to the bank last week. We did. That's great. That's a really smart move, Tom. Having someone to help manage things. The thing is, Ryan continued, and I could hear the pitch in his voice, the same tone he probably used in sales meetings. Claire and I have been talking. We think there's more we can do to help you. Claire nodded enthusiastically. You're living in that big house all alone. The maintenance must be overwhelming. I manage. But you shouldn't have to, Ryan said. A house that size at your age? It's too much. We've been looking at some really nice senior communities, assisted living places, beautiful facilities. The rain picked up outside. It drummed against the windows. I don't need assisted living, I said. Not need exactly, Claire said quickly. But think about it. No more yard work, no more repairs, everything taken care of. You could just relax. I like my house. Ryan and Claire exchanged a look. It was fast, but I caught it. The look that said, see? This is what we're dealing with. Dad, Claire said, her voice softening into that dangerous territory where people think they're being kind. We're just worried about you. The house is falling apart. You're isolated out there. What if something happens? Nothing's going to happen. You can't know that. Ryan again. My grandfather had a fall. Laid on the floor for 6 hours before anyone found him. You don't want that. I'm 63, Not 90. Still. Claire reached over and patted my hand. We want you safe. And honestly, the money from selling the house could be really useful. You could pay for a few years at a nice facility and then… She trailed off. And then what? And then I'd run out of money? And then I'd be their problem? I'm not selling the house, I said. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Dad. Claire withdrew her hand. Let's be realistic. You can barely maintain it. The roof needs replacing. The furnace is ancient. Do you even know how much that would cost? $12,000 for the roof. $6,000 for the furnace. I got estimates last month. Ryan's eyebrows went up. Claire's mouth thinned. Okay, she said slowly. But do you have that kind of cash just lying around? I did. But I didn't answer. Look, Ryan said, standing up. We're not trying to pressure you. We're just thinking ahead. Planning. You know what they say. Fail to plan. Plan to fail. Who said that? Middle managers and motivational posters. Dinner was tense. The pot roast was dry. Ryan talked about his job in pharmaceutical sales. Claire talked about her job in marketing. Emma played on her iPad. I chewed and nodded and watched. I watched the way Ryan's hand rested on Claire's knee under the table. Possessive. I watched the way Claire laughed at his jokes, even the ones that weren't funny. I watched the stack of mail on their counter. Bills, mostly. I could see the red stamp on one. Second notice. After dinner, Claire walked me to my car. I'm sorry if we came on too strong, she said. We just care about you. I know. Do you? She crossed her arms. Sometimes I feel like you think we're the enemy. Like we're trying to hurt you. I don't think that. Then why won't you let us help? The rain had stopped. The air smelled like wet asphalt and earthworms. You are helping, I said. You have the bank access. That's help. She studied my face. You mean that? I do. She relaxed. Good. Because honestly, Dad, Ryan and I are stretched pretty thin right now. The mortgage on this place is brutal. Emma's school is expensive. If you sold the house, it would really… She caught herself. It would really give you some financial security. Financial security. For who? I got in my car. She waved from the doorway. I waved back. I drove home through empty streets and thought about that stack of mail, that second notice. At home, I opened my laptop, logged into the bank. All 3 accounts were still there, still accessible, for now. I opened the notebook and wrote, Sunday, April 15th. Pressure to sell house. Financial stress visible. Second notice on counter. Unable to determine creditor. Then I wrote something else. Something I'd been thinking about since the bank. They think I'm finished learning. I stared at those words for a long time. They were wrong. The next morning, I called my old friend Victor. We'd worked together for 15 years before he'd moved to a different firm. He was a contract lawyer now. Expensive. Sharp. Tom Brennan, he said when he answered. Thought you'd forgotten about me. Never. Listen, I need some advice. Hypothetically. Hypothetically. I could hear the smile in his voice. What are we hypothetically discussing? If someone gives their adult child secondary authority on bank accounts, what exactly does that mean? Legally. A pause. Why do you ask? Humor me. He sighed. Secondary authority typically means they can make transactions, view balances, that sort of thing. But the primary account holder maintains ultimate control, unless there's a power of attorney involved. Is there? No. Then you're fine. Hypothetically. But Tom? His voice shifted. Be careful with family and money. I've seen it destroy people. I'll be careful. I hung up and sat in the quiet house. Somewhere outside, a lawnmower started up. Normal sounds. Normal day. I opened my laptop and started a new document, titled it Asset Protection Protocol, Then I began typing. I'd spent 30 years in risk management, identifying threats, developing contingencies, creating systems that were so tight, so perfectly structured that they ran themselves. I hadn't forgotten how. 2 weeks later, Claire called. "Dad, I need you to sign something." "What kind of something?" "Just paperwork. For the accounts. The bank needs updated signatures on file." "I can go to the bank myself. I already have the forms. I'll bring them over. It'll take 2 minutes." She arrived that evening. Ryan was with her. Emma wasn't. She'd found a sitter, which meant this mattered. The forms were dense, legal language. I read them slowly while Claire tapped her foot. "What's taking so long?" she asked. "I'm reading." "Dad, it's just routine stuff. The bank lady explained it all." I kept reading. The forms weren't routine. They expanded Claire's authority. Not just secondary anymore. Co-owner, equal access, equal control. "This gives you ownership," I said. "Joint ownership," Ryan corrected. "It's better for tax purposes, estate planning. If something happens to you, Claire can access the funds immediately. No probate, no waiting." "If something happens to me, there's a will." "Wills take months," Claire said. "This is smarter. Our financial advisor recommended it." "You have a financial advisor?" "Of course we do. We're not idiots, Dad." I set the forms down. "I need to think about this." Ryan's jaw tightened. Claire's eyes went cold. "Think about what?" she asked. "It's for your own good." "Maybe, but I still need time." "Dad," she picked up the forms. "You're being paranoid. You're acting like we're trying to steal from you." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to. Jesus, do you know how insulting this is, after everything we've done for you?" "What have you done for me?" The question hung in the air like smoke. "Excuse me?" Claire's voice dropped. "What have we done? We check on you. We invite you over. We try to help you manage your money so you don't screw it up like you're screwing up everything else." "Claire," Ryan said quietly. "No. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. He needs to hear this." She turned back to me. "You're not the same, Dad. You're forgetful. You're paranoid. Mom would be horrified to see you like this." "Don't bring Helen into this," I thought. "Don't you dare." "I'm not signing," I said. Claire grabbed her purse. Ryan stood. They moved to the door. "Fine," Claire said. "Be stubborn. But don't come crying to us when you can't figure out your own finances." They left. I locked the door behind them and stood in the hallway, breathing. Then I went upstairs, opened the notebook, wrote, "Attempted authorization expansion, refused, relationship deteriorating as expected, proceeding to phase 2. I made a phone call, then another, then 3 more. By midnight, I had appointments scheduled with my bank, my lawyer, and 2 financial institutions Claire didn't know existed. I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I drove to a credit union 40 minutes outside of town, the kind of place Claire would never think to look. I'd opened an account there 3 years ago, a precaution, insurance. I sat across from a woman named Patricia. She was in her 50s, competent, no nonsense. "Mr. Brennan," she said, "you mentioned on the phone you wanted to discuss account security?" "I do. I need to move funds, but I need it done in a way that doesn't trigger immediate notification." Her eyebrows went up. "That's an unusual request." "I have unusual circumstances," I explained. "Not everything, just enough. A daughter with access, growing pressure, concerns about control." Patricia listened. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "What you're describing isn't illegal," she said finally. "The accounts are yours. You have every right to move your own money. But I have to ask, are you being coerced? Are you in danger?" "No, but I might be if I don't act carefully." She nodded slowly. "All right, here's what we can do." We spent 2 hours setting it up. New accounts, layered structures, transfer schedules designed to look like normal market movements. By the time I left, $300,000 had quietly begun shifting from accounts Claire could see to accounts she couldn't. It would take her weeks to notice. By then, it would be too late. I drove home, made a sandwich, sat in Helen's favorite chair. "I'm not being cruel," I said to the empty room. "I'm being careful." No one answered. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Claire as a little girl, 7 years old, Emma's age. She'd had a gap in her front teeth and a laugh like bells. She'd climbed into my lap every night and made me read Where the Wild Things Are until I had it memorized. When had she changed? Or had I just stopped paying attention? I got up, went to the office, opened the bottom drawer of Helen's old desk. Inside was a shoebox filled with photographs. Claire on her first day of school, Claire at her dance recital, Claire graduating high school, college, her MBA program, Claire at her wedding, beautiful in white, looking at Ryan like he'd hung the moon. In every photo, she was smiling. I couldn't remember the last time she'd smiled at me like that. I put the photos away, opened the notebook, wrote, "The hard part isn't what I'm doing. The hard part is knowing I have to." 2 months passed. Summer arrived. Claire's calls became less frequent. When we did talk, she was distracted. Short. She stopped inviting me to Sunday dinners. I didn't mind. I was busy. I met with Victor twice. We restructured my will, created trusts, established protocols, everything legal, everything documented, everything designed to be unbreakable. I met with a forensic accountant, quiet guy, former FBI. He looked at my accounts, looked at me, and asked one question. "How dirty do you want to get?" "I want to stay legal," I said, "but I want them to understand what they tried to do." He smiled. "I can work with that." By August, I was ready. That's when Claire called. "Dad?" Her voice was shaking. "Something's wrong with my bank accounts." "What do you mean?" "I mean they're frozen. All of them. The bank says there's a security hold. They won't tell me why. They won't tell me anything." I was quiet. "Dad? Are you there?" "I'm here. I need you to call them. You're on the accounts. They'll talk to you." "What makes you think they'll talk to me?" Because She was crying now, full sobs. "Please, Dad. I don't understand what's happening. How can a bank just freeze everything? We have bills due, Emma's tuition, the mortgage. I need access to our money." "Our money." "I'll see what I can do," I said. "Thank you. God, thank you. Can you call them now?" "I'll call tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" "Dad, this is an emergency." "Then you should have thought of that before you tried to take control of my assets." Silence. "What?" "You heard me." "Dad, I don't know what you're talking about." "Those forms you brought me, the ones I wouldn't sign. You filed them anyway." More silence. Longer this time. "How did you—" Her voice changed. Harder. "You had no right to look into that." "I had every right. They were forgeries. My signature. Your handwriting." "That's insane. I would never—" "You filed them 3 weeks after I refused to sign. The bank caught them, flagged them. And when they flagged them, they froze your accounts, pending investigation." I could hear her breathing. Fast. Panicked. "This is crazy," she whispered. "You're crazy. You did this. You set me up." "I protected myself." "From what? From your own daughter? From someone who treats me like I'm incompetent, who wants to put me in a home, who forged documents to steal my assets. I wasn't stealing. I was helping. By lying, by forging, that's help." She was sobbing again. "Please, Dad, please, I'm sorry. I'll fix it. Just make them unfreeze the accounts. We'll lose everything." "You'll lose what's yours, not what's mine." "Dad." I hung up. My hand was shaking now, not like Claire thought it shook. This was different. This was adrenaline. This was rage. I sat in the quiet house and waited. "While you're here, Hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? The call from Ryan came at 6 in the morning, 3 days later. I'd been awake since 4. Coffee, sunrise through the kitchen window. The phone shattered the silence like a brick through glass. What the hell did you do? No greeting, no pretense. Good morning, Ryan. Cut the shit, Tom. Our accounts are frozen. Claire's in pieces. Emma's asking why mommy keeps crying. You did this. I protected my assets. Your assets? Jesus Christ, we were trying to help you. By forging my signature? Pause. I could hear him breathing, recalibrating. When he spoke again, his voice had shifted. Softer, reasonable, sales voice. Look, that was a misunderstanding. Claire thought you'd agreed. She thought you just forgot to sign them. I didn't forget. Okay, fine. Mistakes were made. But this? Freezing our accounts? That's nuclear, Tom. You're hurting your own grandchild. Emma will be fine. How do you know? Do you have any idea what this is doing to Claire? To our family? I know exactly what it's doing. Another pause. Longer. When Ryan spoke again, the sales voice was gone. You're going to regret this. Probably. I mean it. You think you're smart? You think you've won something? All you've done is declare war on your own family, and trust me, you'll lose. We'll see. He hung up. I set the phone down. My hand was steady again. I made more coffee. Toast. Sat at the table and opened the notebook. August 12th, Ryan called. Threats implicit. Proceeding as planned. The bank reopened Claire's accounts 4 days later. Not because of anything I did. Because the investigation concluded and found no evidence of fraud. The signatures were close enough. The bank couldn't prove anything. But the damage was done. Claire knew I knew. Ryan knew I knew. And they knew I'd acted to protect myself. The pretense was gone now. The polite fiction that they were helping me. We were past that. I didn't hear from them for 2 weeks. No calls, no texts. I drove past their townhouse once. Ryan's car was in the driveway. Lights on inside. Normal life. From the outside. I wondered what they were planning. In late August, I got a letter. Law office, downtown, expensive letterhead. It was a notice. Claire was petitioning for guardianship, claiming I was mentally incompetent, citing forgetfulness, paranoia, inability to manage finances. She'd attached doctor's notes from a physician I'd never met. I read it twice. Then I called Victor. They're going for guardianship, I said. He was quiet. Based on what? I read him the letter. He swore. Victor never swore. This is bad, Tom. If a judge grants this, she'll control everything. Your money, your house, your medical decisions, everything. Can they win? Depends on the judge. Depends on what evidence they present. Do you have a doctor who can testify you're competent? I haven't seen a doctor in 2 years. Then get one. Today. Get a full workup. Cognitive tests. The works. We need documentation that you're sharp. I am sharp. I know. But we need proof. I made appointments. 3 doctors. 2 psychologists. A full neurological exam. I spent a week being poked, prodded, tested, questioned. The results came back clean, better than clean. Cognitive function in the 97th percentile for my age. No signs of dementia, confusion, or impairment. I sent copies to Victor. He sent copies to Claire's lawyer. The guardianship petition was withdrawn a week later, but the war wasn't over. September brought new tactics, subtle ones. I started getting calls from people I hadn't heard from in years. Old co-workers, neighbors, Helen's friends, all of them concerned, all of them asking the same questions. Tom, are you okay? Claire mentioned you've been struggling. Tom, I heard you've been having some memory issues. Is there anything I can do? Tom, Claire's worried about you. Maybe you should let her help. At first, I explained. No, I'm fine. No, there's nothing wrong. No, Claire is the problem, not me. The next 3 months were quiet. Too quiet. Claire and Ryan moved to Ohio. I heard about it through the neighborhood grapevine, packed up what they could fit in a U-Haul, abandoned the rest, disappeared. Emma started second grade at a new school. I thought about her sometimes, wondered if she remembered me, wondered if she'd gotten my letter. Probably not. The restraining order remained in effect. No violations, no contact, no threats. It should have felt like victory. It felt like waiting. I maintained my routines. Grocery shopping on Tuesdays, coffee at the diner on Thursdays, walks through the park on weekends, normal life. Except I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I checked the security cameras obsessively. Every car that drove past, every person walking a dog, every noise in the night. Nothing. Never anything. But the feeling persisted. Victor called once a month to check in. Any contact from them? He'd ask. No. Good. Keep it that way. 6 months from now, we make this permanent. Right. You sound disappointed. I'm not. Tom, you need to move on with your life. You've won. Enjoy it. But I couldn't enjoy it. Winning felt hollow when there was no one to share it with. Marcus called less frequently. His work was done. The assets were protected. The financial structures were unbreakable. You're secure, he told me during our last call. Whatever happens now, they can't touch your money. Thanks. But Tom, consider therapy. Real therapy, not just evaluation for court. This thing with your daughter, it's eating you up. I'm fine. You're not. But that's your call. Good luck. He didn't call again. The house felt bigger every day. More rooms, more silence, more memories of Helen and Claire as a little girl and a life that didn't exist anymore. I thought about selling, moving to a condo, someplace smaller, easier to maintain. But that felt like surrender, like admitting they were right about me being unable to handle the house. So I stayed, fixed the roof, replaced the furnace, painted the siding, tended the garden Helen used to love. The neighbors watched me work. I could see them peeking through curtains, whispering over fences. Poor Tom, all alone, worked himself into isolation, let them whisper. I didn't care. In October, I got a letter from Emma's school, the principal. Dear Mr. Brennan, Emma asked me to give this to you. I'm not sure if it's appropriate given the family circumstances, but she was very insistent. Principal Morrison. Inside was a drawing, crayon on construction paper, a house, a stick figure labeled Grandpa, a smaller stick figure labeled Me, both smiling. At the bottom, in careful 7-year-old handwriting, I love you, Grandpa. I miss you. I stared at that drawing for an hour. Then I put it in a frame and set it on my desk. It was the first time I'd cried since Helen died. In November, the surveillance changed. I started noticing a car, silver sedan, different spots on the street, different times of day, but always there. I couldn't see the driver clearly. Tinted windows, but I felt the eyes. I called Victor. Are you sure you're not just being paranoid? He asked. I'm sure. Okay, document everything. Times, locations, license plate if you can get it. If they're violating the restraining order, we need proof. I took photos, wrote down times, tracked patterns. The car appeared 4 times a week. Tuesday and Thursday mornings, Saturday evenings, Sunday afternoons. Sometimes it idled for 5 minutes, sometimes 20. Then it would drive away. I couldn't get a clear shot of the license plate. The angle was wrong. The lighting was bad. But I knew it was them. On a Thursday morning in late November, I decided to do something stupid. When the silver sedan appeared, I walked straight toward it. The engine started immediately. The car pulled away before I got within 50 feet, but I saw the driver, Ryan. He stared at me through the windshield as he passed. No expression. Then he was gone. I called Victor immediately. That's a direct violation of the restraining order, he said. We can have him arrested. Based on what? Me saying I saw him drive past my house? Based on the pattern, the surveillance. We can subpoena traffic cameras, prove he's been here multiple times. Do it. Victor filed an emergency motion. The judge reviewed it, issued a warrant for Ryan's arrest. The police went to Ohio, to the address Claire had listed with the court. No one was there. The apartment was empty, cleared out. The landlord said they'd broken their lease 2 weeks earlier, left no forwarding address. They ran, Victor said when he called with the news. They knew you were onto them. Where would they go? Could be anywhere. But Tom, this is good news. They're scared. They know they can't touch you legally. They're running out of options. Or they're planning something. Like what? I don't know. But people don't run unless they're preparing for something big. Victor was quiet. You really think they'd hurt you? Physically? I think Ryan would, if he thought he could get away with it. Then we need to get you protection. Private security. Bodyguards. Something. No. Tom, I'm not hiding. I'm not running. If they want to come at me, they can come. That's insane. Maybe. But it's my choice. I hung up before he could argue further. That night, I checked the gun in my nightstand, made sure it was loaded, made sure the safety was on. I didn't want to use it, but I would if I had to. December arrived with cold and snow. The neighborhood transformed into something out of a Christmas card. Lights, decorations, families. I didn't decorate. Didn't see the point. On December 10th, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Dad? Claire's voice, shaking. You're violating the restraining order. I know, I'm sorry, but I need to talk to you. Hang up, Claire. Please, just listen. Just for a minute. I should have hung up. Should have reported the call immediately. Instead, I said, 1 minute. She took a breath. Ryan's gone. He left us 3 weeks ago. Took what money we had left and disappeared. Emma and I are staying at a shelter. I lost my job. I have nothing. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Are you really? What do you want, Claire? I want... She started crying. I want my dad back. I want to go back to before all this. I want to fix it. You can't fix it. Why not? Why can't we just start over? Forget everything that happened? Go back to being a family? Because you tried to destroy me. Because you forged documents. Because you lied and manipulated and treated me like I was incompetent. You can't start over from that. I was wrong. I've said I was wrong. Saying it doesn't change what you did. She sobbed harder. You're really going to let your daughter and granddaughter live in a shelter? You're really that heartless? You put yourself there, not me. I need help, Dad. Please. Just enough to get an apartment, to get back on my feet. I'll pay you back, I swear. No. Dad. No. Figure it out yourself. Like I've had to figure everything out myself since you decided I was too incompetent to manage my own life. I hate you, she whispered. I really, really hate you. I know. She hung up. I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time. I could help her. I had the money. A few $1,000s would get her and Emma into an apartment, would give them a fresh start. But what would that teach her? That she could betray me, abuse me, try to steal from me, and I'd still bail her out? No. She made her choices. She lived with them. I saved the call recording, sent it to Victor, evidence of contact, evidence of attempted manipulation, another violation, another nail in the coffin. That night, I dreamed about Helen. We were in the old kitchen, before the remodel. She was making coffee, humming something I couldn't quite hear. You're being cruel, she said without turning around. I'm protecting myself. From your daughter? From your granddaughter? From people who want to hurt me. She turned then, looked at me with those eyes that had always seen through everything. You already hurt yourself, Tom. Worse than they ever could. What does that mean? It means you've won your war, but you've lost everything else. I woke up sweating. The bedroom was cold, empty. I got up, checked the cameras, nothing, walked through the house, All the rooms Helen and I had filled with life. All empty now. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had lost everything else. But I'd kept my dignity, my autonomy, my assets. That had to count for something, didn't it? On December 15th, Marcus called. First time in months. "I found something," he said. "About Ryan." "What?" "He's not just gone. He's in trouble. Real trouble. He owes money to some very bad people. Not banks, not credit cards, loan sharks, the kind who break kneecaps." "How much?" "North of 200,000, plus interest. He took out high-interest loans to try to save their house. When that didn't work, he couldn't pay them back." Jesus. "Yeah. So here's the thing. These people, they don't care that he's broke. They want their money, and they're going to get it one way or another. What does that have to do with me?" "Tom, think about it. Ryan knows you have money, lots of it. He's desperate. He's cornered. What do you think happens when a desperate man with violent creditors knows exactly where to find a pile of cash?" The pieces clicked into place. "He's going to rob me. Or worse. These loan sharks don't play games. If Ryan told them about you, about your assets, they might come for you directly." "Can they legally?" "These aren't legal people, Tom. They don't care about restraining orders or courts. They care about money. And if Ryan gave them your information, you're a target." I felt cold spread through my chest. What do I do? "Get out. Leave town for a while. Go somewhere they can't find you. I can arrange protection, security, but the safest thing is to just disappear for a few months until this blows over." "I'm not leaving my house." "Then you're an idiot." "Tom, I'm serious. These aren't the kind of people you can outsmart or outlegal. They're violent. They're dangerous." "I'll be ready." "With what? Your 9mm? You going to have a shootout with loan sharks in your living room?" "If I have to." Marcus sighed. "You're making a mistake." "Probably. But it's my mistake to make." He hung up. I sat in the quiet house and thought about what was coming. I could run. Victor would help. Marcus would help. I could disappear to some beach town, live off my savings, wait for Ryan and his problems to resolve themselves. But that meant they'd won. That meant spending the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. No. I'd stand my ground. I upgraded the security system, added more cameras, motion sensors, reinforced locks. I called a private security consultant who walked through the house and identified weak points. "This is pretty good," he said, "but if someone really wants to get in, they'll get in. Your best defense is calling the police the second you see anything suspicious." "What if there's no time to call?" He looked at me carefully. "Then you better be ready to defend yourself." I was ready. The gun stayed in my nightstand, but I bought a second one for the kitchen, a third for the office. I practiced at a range, got comfortable with the weight, the recoil, the mechanics. I told myself I'd never have to use them, but I stopped believing it. On December 20th, the silver sedan came back. 3 a.m. My security system woke me. Motion detected. Vehicle in driveway. I checked the cameras. The sedan was parked at the end of my driveway. Headlights off, engine running. Someone was in the driver's seat. I couldn't make out who. I grabbed my phone, started to call 911. Then the car door opened. Ryan stepped out. He stood there for a moment looking at the house. Even in the grainy night vision camera footage, I could see he looked terrible. Thinner, haggard. He walked toward the front door. I called 911. 911, what's your emergency? Someone's trying to break into my house. There's a restraining order. He's not supposed to be here. What's your address? I gave it. The dispatcher said officers were on the way. Ryan reached the front door, tried the handle, locked. He moved to a window, tried that, also locked. The dispatcher was still talking, but I wasn't listening. I was watching Ryan circle the house, testing doors, testing windows. He was methodical, calm, like he'd planned this. Finally, he found what he was looking for. The basement window, the one the security consultant had warned me about. Ryan kicked it in, glass shattered, Alarms shrieked. He climbed through. I grabbed the gun from my nightstand, checked the safety, moved to the hallway. "Sir?" The dispatcher's voice. "Are you still there?" "He's inside," I said. "He broke in. He's inside my house." "Stay on the line. Officers are 3 minutes away." 3 minutes. Lifetime in a situation like this. I could hear Ryan downstairs. Footsteps. Movement. He was looking for something, or someone. I moved to the top of the stairs. Gun raised. Hands shaking. "Ryan!" I called down. "The police are coming. Leave now and this doesn't get worse." Silence. Then footsteps on the stairs. Slow. Steady. He appeared at the bottom. Looked up at me. Saw the gun. He smiled. "You're not going to shoot me, Tom. Leave. Now." "Or what? Claire's husband? Emma's father?" "You're not those things anymore. You're just someone breaking into my house." He took a step up. "You ruined my life." "You ruined your own life." Another step. "You had everything. Money, security, a family, and you destroyed it. All because you couldn't let go. Couldn't accept help." "I didn't need help. I needed to be left alone." He was halfway up now. The gun was pointed at his chest. "I owe people money," he said. "Bad people. And you're sitting on almost $1 million, refusing to help your own family. That money is mine. Emma is sleeping in a homeless shelter because of you. Because of you. Because you made bad decisions. Because you gambled on stealing my money and lost. Give me what I need, and I'll disappear. You'll never see me again." "No." He took another step. "Tom, I'm not asking. And I'm not giving." Sirens, distant but getting closer. Ryan heard them too. His expression changed. Desperation replaced calculation. "Last chance," he said. "Get out of my house." He charged. Took the remaining stairs in 3 bounds, faster than I expected. I pulled the trigger. Click. Safety still on. Ryan slammed into me. We went down hard. The gun skittered across the floor. He was on top of me, hands around my throat, squeezing. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Just panic and pressure and the certainty that I was going to die in my own hallway. I clawed at his hands, his face, connected with his eye. He roared, loosened his grip for a second. I bucked, threw him off, scrambled for the gun. He tackled me again before I reached it. We rolled, grappled. 2 men in pajamas fighting for dominance in a dark hallway. He got his hands around my throat again, squeezed harder this time. Black spots appeared in my vision. The sirens were right outside now. "Just tell me where it is," Ryan was saying. "The accounts, the passwords. Tell me and this ends." I tried to speak. Couldn't. No air. The front door exploded inward. Police. "Police! Freeze!" Ryan let go, raised his hands. I gasped, coughed, rolled away. Officers swarmed, shouting, "Hands on Ryan, hands on me." "He attacked me," I managed to say. "Broke in." They cuffed Ryan, read him his rights. He didn't fight. "This isn't over," he said as they dragged him away. Paramedics checked me. Bruises on my throat. Otherwise okay. Police took statements, photographed the broken window, collected evidence. By the time they left, it was dawn. I sat on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, and shook. I'd almost died, in my own house, at the hands of my son-in-law, because of money, because of pride, because of a war neither of us would surrender. Victor called at 8. I heard, "Are you okay?" Physically, yes. Ryan's in jail. He'll be charged with breaking and entering, assault, violating a restraining order. He's looking at serious time. Good. Tom, you need to leave, at least for a while. If Ryan was willing to attack you, others might be too. Those loan sharks Marcus mentioned. I'm done running. This isn't running, it's surviving. I survived last night. Barely. I know. Victor was quiet. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I'm not leaving. This is my house, my life. I'm not giving it up. Even then. He sighed. You're impossible. I know. I spent the day cleaning up, boarding the broken window, resetting the alarms, putting the house back together. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with the notebook. I opened it to a fresh page, wrote the date, December 21st. Then I wrote, "The police have him, but this isn't over, not yet, because Claire is still out there, and she's more dangerous than he ever was." I stared at those words. Claire was the real threat. Ryan was the muscle, the aggression, but Claire was the brain, the one who'd started all of this, the one who'd convinced herself she was helping when she was really destroying, and she was still out there, still broke, still desperate, still my daughter. I closed the notebook. Tomorrow, I'd figure out what to do about that. Tonight, I just needed to survive.